A very good evening to you all and welcome from me, Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma, to News Tonight. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our News Tonight, President Yoweri Museveni commissions 10 factories in Buikwe district. Minister Okello advises politicians to use ballots, not violence as 2021 approaches. UCC to investigate broadcast standards and breach in 30 days. And Uganda Airlines secures 7 new routes. And welcome once again. On sign language, it is Mogalo Mohammed, and we are coming live to you from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. And of course, earlier on today, President Yoweri Museveni commissioned 10 factories in Buikwe district, and it was a colorful ceremony. Most of the factories, of course, to do with things that we normally use in our households, and those are some of the highlights there. But let's get that story because our reporters were there, and let's get to see what actually took place there.
All distinguished guests, this is a Hindu prayer for peace, prosperity, good health and wealth. It is all Sarvakari Sarvada Gajanand Budganashi Jamur Charubaksaram Uma Suvinascaram Namami Videshwarapa the Banganam Shantakaram Bujagasanam Padmana Dikesho Heto Samata Jagatam Triguna Vido Shenyaye Hare Aradi Pyara Sarva Sayakil Vidam Jagadam Sabota Mavyam Brutam Parama Bragotismaja
Katonda Afe. I won't know what Nagenda Maso. Bocho no mukama oyongera okulikuuma twongera okusabira ekitundu kino ekiwereddwayo okuteekamu amakolero mukama abantu b'ekitundu kino beyagale nga bafuna
okuggulawo omulimo guno ow'ekitiibwa Allah tusaba omulimo guno guteekemu amaanyi n'emirembe n'omukisa mu mwezi guno gwa
and showing our love and appreciation and agree with the children. We are all clapping for them and saying, we agree with you.
Yakusaba okusokera ddala abavuga bafuge omukopi bana ezitolodde kampani eno oluvannyuma eryokegende wabweru bayibuli egamba osooka gana beewuwo kakati nabana abantu bano kyetaaga basookeyo nabana
Ministers abali wano bannange bamembazi ba parliament n'abakulembeze abalala bamasira nsimbi mikwano gyaffe abeebuuke muli bulungi ne bejjinja abejjinja muliyo munakoba ki
waliwo olugero lw'abanyankole olugamba nti abatamanyi enkola balowooza nti sekoko baginya n'amwoya ne batamanya nsekoko osooka n'ojjako amwoya n'osobola kufuga ku nnyama n'olwekyo abatamanyi enkulaakulana y'ensi owulira bagamba ku by'emirimu so nga byeboogera tebabimanyi.
President Yoweri Museveni ending that report. And of course, those were some of the highlights that characterized the event when President Yoweri Museveni inaugurated those 10 factories in Buikwe district. Now, the State Minister for Defence and Veteran Affairs, Charles Okello Engola, has advised politicians to wait and express themselves in 2021 general elections instead of inciting violence. He says 2021 is just around the corner and any competent leader should wait for campaigns. Philip Aguta reports.
The Minister, Charles Okello Enkola's statement follows the recent running battles of opposition figures with the police across the country. The Minister advised the politicians to wait and express their competencies to the Ugandans during the campaigns, since the elections are just around the corner in 2021.
You can't see, you can give rioting, going wild, and you think the government should sit down and no, that one should stop. Let's wait for the time. Let's wait for, like Ugandans, you have very few, I think it's only 1 year now.
Okello further advised the politicians on dialogue in case of differences in opinion.
Not the way some people are doing, running around, making people loot. You know what? Let our people do their work.
The minister made the remarks while addressing the civilian professionals under the East African Standby Force in Kampala. He emphasized Uganda's commitment towards the East African Standby Force and other peacekeeping missions across Africa. The minister also tasked the Africans to desist from the foreign influence of destabilizing the continent.
Unfortunately, some individuals in Africa think they should use the outside forces to destabilize the African countries again and the situation in the countries.
Hundreds of Ugandan civilian professionals in various disciplines have undergone training by East African Standby Force, and the successful ones will help in peacekeeping missions hand in hand with men in uniform.
These are civilians that have been identified to be put on the roster, that in case there is a need for them to keep peace in any region that will have any crisis, they will be picked. And these civilians you are seeing here, they are experts in different fields: rule of law, human rights, political affairs, disaster management, election observers.
Philip Aguta reporting.
Thanks, Aguta, for that report there. Uganda Communications Commission, UCC, has, together with the National Association of Broadcasters, resolved not to sack or suspend any journalist earlier implicated in the alleged breach of minimum broadcasting standards by the Commission, but rather have the affected media practitioners step aside so as to pave way for the investigations. Now, this resolution, which will see the Commission carry out investigations in the matter for 30 days, was reached in a meeting attended by the regulator and broadcasters.
Yes, we have reached a consensus that those people should step aside, not be suspended from their employment, but step aside to pave way for investigation. You know, the investigation looking at the broadcasting minimum broadcasting standards, but also on the guidelines. Broadcasting guidelines were written by the broadcasters themselves, and we came together and we approved that document. And it seems that now the broadcasters have violated that particular document. So that's what we're investigating. As they are the ones who brought it to us, we approved it, and it's been implemented. And now they have decided to violate that particular document. That's what we are looking at now. And we've been writing memos and memos. We've been engaging media houses for over a period of time. So we are saying that now, when you look at what has been the content that has been coming through, is completely different from what they promised to bring. Instead of news items, they bring documentaries. Instead of documentaries, they bring hate speech, inciting public violence. So those are the kind of things we are looking at. So once we have done investigation, we shall come up with a report and take necessary action. We say 30 days, we shall have come up with a report. If we have total cooperation.
Godfrey Mutabazi, the UCC boss, shedding more light there on what transpired in that meeting between the Commission and the National Broadcasters Association. Now, technocrats from 5 countries forming the business route, technically known as the Central Corridor, are locked in a meeting in Tanzania to review the implementation progress of common infrastructure for enhancement of intra-trade. Now, top on the meeting's agenda was transport with specific focus on the standard gauge railway accepted by each of the member states connecting the port of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania with Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Here is our reporter Onyango Jackson with more from Tanzania.
Ugandan delegates participating at the 12th Central Corridor Stakeholders Consultative Meeting at the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Kigoma, Tanzania, have emphasized the necessity of the standard gauge railway Tanzania is constructing. The alternative to the longer road transport envisaged to be shorter, effective and cheaper through the mix with water transport on Lake Victoria connects to Mwanza and subsequently Port Bell on Uganda's side.
The interest we have in this meeting is to look at the progress we have reached in connecting Uganda to the Dar es Salaam port. A lot of activities are in the offing, and in the meeting you'll be briefed or updated on the progress of the standard gauge rail from Dar es Salaam through Isaka to Mwanza and connecting to the Port Bell and to Kampala. That route is very important for us because it will be using a multimodal system of rail and water, which is the cheapest of all.
Technocrats taking part in the deliberations are drawn from the tax bodies, roads, railways, transporters, freight and forwarders, and respective government ministries in charge of works.
One of the biggest achievements I can say is that after the concessioning of the railways in Uganda, the private operator was not operating well on the southern corridor, and operations almost went to zero. Like the executive secretary said, traffic in terms of volume from 30% to 1%. That means that all the vessels which were on the lake became almost redundant. But that was reversed in 2017 when they opened the route of Port Bell Mwanza. So it's now open to the business community. The vessels are operating.
Of the load toll is still a problem which we need to sit and discuss about the load toll. The load toll in the region, in the East Africa, is not harmonized. So we are expecting to be harmonized in order to get smooth operations in our tracks.
Tanzania is securing funding for the railway project from the World Bank.
We are a region that imports more than exports. Our trade balance is then negative. In the last 50, 60 years, when you look at the focus, we have been putting a lot of resources in improving infrastructure that, facilitate imports. But now the continent, not only this region, not only the members of the corridor, the continent, the African continent, has come to a point whereby all countries need to position themselves in terms of industrialization. So we are now looking at the comparative advantages. What can, for example, Tanzania offer in the regional market? And now, starting from the import side, we want now to produce. And where are our markets? Where will we be sending our products, our goods? We will start with our neighboring countries, India, Congo, Central Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, and so on.
Here where I am is a 65 hectares of land where Central Corridor is set to construct a dry port. This dry port is just adjacent to Lake Tanganyika and a railway station, making it a strategic point for doing business between Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Onyango Jackson, reporting for Ubc TV in Tanzania.
Thanks, Onyango, for that report, and we expect more from TZN as far as that meeting is concerned. Now, effective July 2019, all commuter taxis and heavy trucks are to be registered as part of the control measures for road accidents. State Minister for Works and Transport, Agre Bagire, says the ministry is in final stages together with police and commuter taxi leadership to ensure that the initiative kickstarts on the agreed date.
Road accidents have taken a toll on Ugandan roads with about 30,000 people dead, according to the annual Traffic Road and Safety Report 2017. According to the report, most road accidents are as a result of recklessness, abuse of traffic rules and regulations, and use of drugs by some drivers. In addition, commuter vehicles and cyclists, also known as border borders, top up the list of road carnage in the report. State Minister for Works and Transport has disclosed plans to register all commuter vehicles and heavy trucks for easy tracking. Bajire made the remarks during the launch of the Road Safety Week in Kampala.
The other one is recklessness of the road users, the pedestrians, the drivers, the riders. The other one is use of drugs of all of us. So let's speak up. Let's provide leadership.
In an initiative to impart discipline to drivers, however, Minister of Works and Transport is set to start the registration of all commuter vehicles and heavy trucks, just as it happened with the buses. This will also be done in partnership with the Uganda Police.
Road safety, therefore, is both a public health program and an economic issue. I've time and again emphasized the burden of these crashes the economy.
Abuse of road rules and regulations, especially by cyclists and commuter vehicles, has led to an increase in road carnage and also impacted in the country's GDP. Susan Naonga reporting.
The government is to come up with a national skills development financing framework to capitalize on the gains of the pilot skills development strategy as one of the interventions to benefit Ugandans. Now, while opening the skills development exhibition at Uganda Manufacturers Association, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, Alex Kakoza, said they are to fast-track the policy actions of establishment of employer technical vocational education system. We have this story.
Skilling Uganda strategy provides for a skills development fund, which was launched in 2016. Private Sector Foundation Uganda is implementing a skills development facility and skills development fund pilot project in 86 districts across the country. However, leaders of small-scale development associations say the training approach of this program is wrong.
What is taking place there, the funds which is taken there, and they are talking of non-formal training, cannot really, you can't train a metal fabricator for 3 months. With limited material, training materials there.
Government needs to come again, go back to the ground and see these old institutions like Musa Bodies institutions. Look at them, do another feasibility study and empower them.
These funds have seen students placed in companies, retained, some started businesses and became self-employed, while others went back to upgrade their education.
A lot, however, needs to be done to change the mindset, attitude and work culture, especially for fresh graduates. Many come out of these institutions feeling entitled because they have a degree. Without the skills, without the right attitude, the degree will not take you very far.
In the formal sector, the facility supported 58 companies to skill over 10,000 employees, with 9 out of 10 of them enhancing their productivity. Accordingly, a huge number of youth are engaged in the informal sector in agriculture, manufacturing, construction and ICT. A total of 202 organizations targeting 35,000 beneficiaries have been supported in this sector. Private Sector Foundation applauds the Directorate of Industrial Training for assessing and certifying trainees.
Our interest as private sector is to develop a system for increased transferability of skills through an accredited certification system. We are already making headway in the construction and manufacturing sectors. The intervention entails assessment of workers to city and guilds in construction, carpentry and joinery.
Cabinet passed the TVET policy, which emphasizes government's commitment to skill Ugandans for employment.
The Skills Development Fund
once operationalized by the government, will come up with an inclusive model to link the employers, both public and private, with government in order to pool resources available for TVET in Uganda, including private sector contributions, allocations from the public budget, contributions from development partners.
During a Skills Development Expo organized under the theme, Scaling Ugandans for Competitiveness, Productivity and Employment for Self-Reliance, Kakoza said, Scaling Uganda was meant to be demand-driven and industries determine what should be trained because they know the skills they want. 5 centers of excellence have been established and they are to inform the curriculum for skills development. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting.
Skilling Ugandans, especially in vocational training, will go a long way in helping Uganda rid that curse of youth unemployment. Now, many Ugandans are suffering tooth loss due to decay and gum diseases. Our reporter Adia Nakuti takes us through the do's and don'ts of proper oral hygiene.
Humans usually have 20 primary baby or milk teeth, while adults have 32 permanent or adult teeth. There are 4 types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars and molars, with each having a specific function. The incisors cut the food, canines tear the food, molars and premolars crush the food. However, many people are losing their teeth due to decay and gum diseases. Mengo Hospital Dental Clinic receives about 60 to 70 adults and 18 to 20 children with dental complications daily.
The number one cause of decay is usually poor oral hygiene. If the teeth are not brushed or maintained in a very clean way, they end up developing decay, they end up getting demineralized, they end up being chalky and they easily decay. So that is the most common problem here. However, there are a number of other dental problems.
With advancement in technology, modern equipment is used to diagnose the teeth before treatment is done.
It takes both two-dimensional like the conventional X-rays, but much clearer because they are digital. And then it takes the 3D images that are multi-dimensional, that are 3-dimensional. You can see from different angles, and you can even manipulate the images to see the different angles of the teeth, the jaw, and the mouth in general. So the importance of this machine is purely diagnostic. You want to be very certain that before you do a treatment plan for a patient, you're sure what the problem is and how you're going to manage it with the use of this.
There are many treatment options that can allow patients to retain their teeth. For tooth decay, most patients seek care when the problem is advanced and the only option is to remove the tooth. Stephen Kabunga sought attention after 4 years of pain.
Era yinza kubanga wakebaka ko kutuka sawa ngata 8 z'ekiro n'otaddayo kwebaka. Ate bw'obanga oyebase osanga nga lukuluma n'ovaayo nga toyebase bulungi.
It seems all dental problems start with poor oral hygiene. Therefore, it is advisable to brush teeth after every meal, and at the same time, it is advisable to brush teeth before going to bed.
Spend so many hours at night sleeping, so there is a lot of inactivity in the mouth, which means there is a lot of activity for bacteria if your mouth is inactive. So it's very important to brush at night before you sleep, and very important to brush in the morning after breakfast.
This is the best way to brush teeth.
The purpose, when you brush like this, the bristles of the toothbrush go between the interproximal spaces of the teeth and they clean out all the decay. Unlike when you brush like that, when the food is cleaned off the surfaces of the teeth, it is pushed back into the spaces so that your teeth won't get clean and you run a risk of developing cavities in between the spaces of your teeth. However, if you brush 45 degrees from the gum downwards, the bristles are able to clean the interproximal spaces of the teeth. So, when you come on the inside of the teeth, still you go at 45, push outwards, and then here, the same thing, right? When you come to the chewing surfaces of the teeth, as you can see, have deep grooves and fissures. These grooves retain a lot of food when you eat. So when you go up here, you brush in circular motion. You take your toothbrush and brush round on the chewing surfaces. When you're brushing, you have to make sure at least you spend longer, because most people use more energy but in a shorter time.
And it is advisable for parents to help children to brush their teeth.
Even the first teeth, the first baby teeth, are supposed to be clean. As soon as a child develops their early teeth, those teeth are supposed to be cleaned at least with a cotton bud or like a piece of cotton to clean off, even if it's breast milk. So most parents don't clean the teeth of their babies until they are older, and by the time they are older, the teeth are compromised and they become weak. So the top surface of the tooth, the enamel, starts chipping away and breaking away.
On the other hand, a balanced diet plays a critical role in maintaining strong teeth and gums.
It's the general health of the body. If the child is feeding poorly and generally the general body is weak, that means it contributes to the general health of the body.
Teeth are important on our bodies because they contribute to general beauty and physical appearance of a person. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
Diana Kuti there in the health radar, of course, teaching the nation how to brush your teeth and, of course, taking good care of your dental health. However, you must also remember that if you can, you should also, especially the working class, if you can, just carry an extra toothbrush to your workstation, and after lunch in the office, you just can, do the brushing, because it's one of the things that are really recommended in order for you to have proper oral hygiene. We are going to take a short break. We'll return with what's happening in the world of business.
Every dream has a challenging journey. Ours began in 1998. With a mission to drive the development of a robust communications sector in Uganda, we created structures to champion the dream. We've evolved, made discoveries, supported great minds, empowered Uganda, and fostered a vibrant culture, enabling communication for all. Down the years, we've created memories and networks, uniting generations and building great partnerships. Together, we can go even further. UCC, celebrating 20 years of achievements.
The National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, invites the general public to review and scrutinize the Environmental and Social Impact Assessment Report for the proposed Kingfisher Development Project. The project involves the development of the Kingfisher oil field located in Chikube district and feeder pipeline transporting crude oil to the delivery point in Kabale in Hoima district. The major components of the project include oil production and water injection wells, central processing facility, flow lines, water obstruction station, feeder pipeline, and supporting infrastructure. Copies of the report are available at the following locations: Written comments should be addressed to the Executive Director, National Environment Management Authority, Ginger Road, Kampala by 15th May 2019. NEMA, ensuring sustainable development.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Let's now talk some business. The national carrier Uganda Airlines has secured 7 regional routes following the activation of bilateral air services agreements by the Ministry of Works and Transport. Now, the routes include Nairobi, Juba, Bujumbura, Dar es Salaam, Mombasa, Mogadishu and Kilimanjaro. Currently, Uganda has signed bilateral air service agreements with 47 countries, although some are yet to be activated. Now, after taking delivery of the 2 CRJ 900 jetliners last month, the airliner has also embarked on the process of securing the air operator license, and this is expected to take 3 months.
Manufacturer is interested in showcasing this aircraft to other countries. So over the past few weeks, they hired our aircraft to go and showcase in other countries. I think they've been to South Africa, they've been to Congo, they've been to DRC, they've been to Ghana and Lagos, and there are many more countries where our flag is going to go, simply because we are the ones, we have the most modern CRJ 900. So that's what the marketing issue has been. It is not tied to our certification yet. The phase at which we will demonstrate to authorities is according to the phases that our civil aviation authorities work with, and we have already started on that path. So those are processes which we are going on. We have to identify the routes that we are going to start. Since we have received 2 aircraft now, we are receiving others in July and September. There is a phasing program which we have got to work through in detail and make sure that we have contracted people at all the places where we fly, people who process our passengers, people who maintain our aircraft, people who clean the aircraft when it's there, people who offers all the services that we require at those airports. So those are processes which we have got to do internally. With Civil Aviation Authority, there are external processes of making sure that they inspect us, they are satisfied that we can run a safe operations, they look at the skills and qualification of our workforce, and again, those are issues we have got to demonstrate to them, as well as to the other Civil Aviation Authorities out there, which would allow us then to operate safely to all these areas.
Cornwall Mulea, the technical advisor, Uganda Airlines, shedding more light there on the routes that the national carrier has so far got. Now, as we come to the end of the financial year 2018-2019, civil society organizations and the public are concerned about financial inclusion, appealing that they should be consulted during the tax policy formulations of this year's financial year. Now, research conducted by Twaweza among 1,905 Ugandans in November 2018 indicates that 79% of mobile money users say it has become expensive to transact using the service despite the 0.5% tax reduction.
In an economy where inflation often fluctuates and commercial banks operating at interest rates above 20%, majority of Ugandans struggle to balance their finances.
We know that the livelihoods of Ugandans are really critical because we've talked about, we ask them usually what are the most pressing issues in Uganda, and they mention issues of inflation, issues of unemployment. So financial services also play a key role in those 2 areas because for a business you need proper and working financial services to ensure that your business is running smoothly.
According to a research by Twaweza in 2018, Ugandans' experiences and opinions on financial inclusion indicates that 1 out of 6 citizens own a bank account, 1 out of 3 citizens has borrowed money in the past year. Most loans are taken from community savings and credit groups, 3 out of 4 citizens have mobile money accounts, and 4 out of 10 citizens are aware of the changes in mobile money taxes.
The tax policy formulation process is ongoing, then the citizens ought to be consulted or their views ought to be taken into account and considered before those taxes are formulated, because yes, it's important to widen the tax base, but when that happens, how does it affect the citizen?
I'm more likely to use a bank, but the taxes are still too high. For example, my saving used to fetch 8% interest, but was since reduced to 6%.
Mobile money is reshaping the use of financial services to the extent that banks have resorted to partnering with the service to help customers access their money.
As you see, UBT is what I'm having here. They are working together with MTN, and the reason as to why, it is because they wanted to bring near the service to customers. 7% of my transactions, they are using bank and mobile money.
Accessing financial services like microfinance banks and mobile money have helped the poor overcome short-term challenges and meet long-term needs. However, as Uganda strives to alleviate poverty, government needs to endorse favorable financial policies that favor the poor. For UBC Business, Wadulo Makanold.
To South Sudan now, where South Sudanese government has established a committee to verify the authenticity of Ugandan traders claiming compensation for supplying goods to South Sudan. Now, the goods were reportedly supplied before and after the 2013 civil war. Now, this was revealed by the South Sudan's Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, Gok Makoch Mayol, during a meeting with Ugandan members of parliament in Juba. Ugandan members of parliament, led by Anne-Marie Nankabirwa, noted that the verification committee will take time to assess documents of other traders who supplied different government agencies.
What has been remaining is that several categories of traders have not been verified, and parliament couldn't proceed, even government couldn't proceed. And the problem was because of setting up of a verification committee. I report with joy that today 6th, the verification committee was set up. It is headed by the Undersecretary, Minister of Finance, Southern Sudan, with several other officers from the Minister of Trade and the Minister of Defense.
When we met the Ministers of Defense, the Minister of Finance and that of Trade of the Government of South Sudan, strides have already been taken. As we speak this morning, the Minister of Finance, Minister of Defense, as well as that of Trade, had already nominated members to the verification committee, for which the Ugandan delegation for verification is also on its way, so that the traders shall be verified once and for all.
I want to express and give hope to the Ugandan traders that South Sudan has assured us that they understand and feel for the Ugandan traders, only that because they have been going through a lot and a lot of problems. The bilateral agreement is very clear that the government of Uganda will appropriate money upon clearance of traders of Uganda. Then South Sudan government can reimburse thereafter without interest.
Now, in the quest to increase diversity of tourists and tourism, Uganda Tourism Board, UTB, is prospecting on the Chinese market. Now, it is against that background that UTB is working with PHG, a Chinese public relations consultancy firm operating in Uganda, to train tourism sector stakeholders of Uganda on understanding the Chinese people more. Now, the stakeholders range from tourism ministry officials, hotel managers, tours and travel owners, park rangers, among others.
They may have spent twice a year to travel abroad.
China is one of the markets, emerging markets for Uganda tourism, and we have these people coming in to train us so that we get to understand the interest of the Chinese market. And the reason why we are doing this is for us to be able to provide what the Chinese market require out of our tourism development. Now, there is a distinction between what the Chinese market requires, what their interests are, and what the Europeans and the Americans require from our market.
Full operations of Uganda Airlines. We are taking advantage of Ethiopian Airlines. We are taking advantage of Kenya Airlines. We are taking advantage of Emirates. We are taking advantage of Qatar Airlines, because all these have a direct connection to Entebbe. And what we have been advising the Chinese tourists to do is to book Guangzhou, Addis, Entebbe, and then maybe Nairobi, and then back to Guangzhou.
They definitely would like to see the Chinese, read the Chinese languages. Yeah.
Now let's have a look at how the shilling fared today against local and selected currencies in our money market report. Welcome back from that break. Now let's have a look at what's happening elsewhere in the world, and we begin in Libya, where Libya's UN-recognized Prime Minister begins a short visit to Europe as he seeks allies in his struggle against a rogue military commander. Fayez al-Sarraj travels first to Italy, the former colonial power, before traveling on to Germany for talks with Chancellor Angela Merkel. On Wednesday, he will meet the French President Emmanuel Macron, whom he has criticized for supporting his rival General Khalifa Haftar. On the eve of his visit, the UN was investigating the use of Chinese drones by General Haftar in an apparent violation of an arms embargo on the warring parties. To South Africa now, where 6 people have been arrested in South Africa after the car of an election official was set ablaze in Ganyesa town in North-West Province on Monday. Now, the cause of the incident is unclear. South Africa is holding its general election on Wednesday, with the governing African National Congress, ANC, expected to win with a reduced majority. Meanwhile, incumbent Cyril Ramaphosa has pledged to clean out the corruption that has become endemic under his party, the ANC. Now this, he said during his campaign rally in the KwaZulu-Natal province. Now whether or not voters believe he can keep that promise will determine the level of ANC support in Wednesday's election. And on to Myanmar, where 2 Reuters journalists jailed in Myanmar for their reporting on the Rohingya crisis have been freed. Wallon, 33, and Chaw So-oo, 29, were released on a presidential amnesty. They spent more than 500 days in prison on the outskirts of Yangon. They had been convicted under the Official Secrets Act and sentenced to 7 years in jail last September. Now, their jailing was seen as an assault on press freedom and raised questions about Myanmar's democracy. Now, as he left the prison, Wallon said that he would never stop being a journalist. Now, both men have families with young children. Finally, let's have a look at sports and day 3 of the Fresh Dairy Secondary School games in Mbale, and some of the big schools have faltered already. Host Mbale Senior Secondary School have been disappointed in basketball and rugby, while King's College Budo lost to Old Kampala in hockey. We have more on that story.
There are lots of surprise results at the ongoing Fresh Dairy Secondary School ball games in Mbale, where giants in the sport have faltered. The new kid on the block in basketball is St. Cyprian SS Chabakade, shocking many with the prowess approach towards the game. Chabakade defeated Mukono basketball giants Seroma Christian School, but of course many didn't take them seriously until their win against host Mbale SS. Meet Mahom Matthew, the tallest basketball player at the tournament. Going for 7.2 feet tall, Mayom initiated the game of basketball in his school, Chabakade, last year, and since then, the administration has been helpful, scouting more players.
Basketball, first of all, is my first priority and academic altogether. So my opinion, I want to be like the first South Sudanese Manute Ball in NBA. We are all from Barakazal in South Sudan. So he was one of the first South Sudanese to play in the NBA, and he was 7.7 feet tall. So I'm competing, I want to be like him. In prison right now, I want to be like LeBron James in Lakers. That's only my aim, yeah.
The magic is with the 4 players scouted in the East African School Games in Rwanda. Mayom yearns to be the best basketball player at the NBA and won't tire until he achieves his dream. Mayom joins his 2 colleagues, James Dianze, Martin Paluku, who have made the lowly St. Cyprian Chabakade a basketball giant everyone looks at.
It takes me only 3 minutes to say good player, like agility, speed, creativity, and endurance. He had like 7 players, but other 4 players had problems of age. Others were not in school, were in lower classes. When they quitted their papers to Ugandan UNEBU equivalents, they were in P7, P6. So we managed to only these 3. Then we added Mayom, who was already in school. Mayom was also put on a scholarship so that we can inspire other players from Sudan and all parts of Uganda.
Meanwhile, there were lots of surprises in rugby. King's College Budo lost to Makerere College School. Masaba SS lost to St. Mary's College Subi, while Untale tasod it out against Namilango College. In hockey, Seta defeated St. Charles Ranga. Kawempe won Barre High School, while Old Kampala defeated Budo SS. Action resumes on day 4 of the tournament. In tennis, badminton, ladies football, among other games, where 3 players will win scholarships at the university in Kenya, while the best schools in each sports discipline will represent the country at the East Africa School Championships. Ngabo Emon, reporting for UBC TV in Bale.
Thanks, Amon, for that report. And of course, we expect much more to come in through Mbale with Amon Ngabo. And of course, to weather now. And there were some reported scattered showers all over the country. But to get a clear picture of what tomorrow holds, let's have the following weather forecast with Kim Semper.
Though quite diffuse, is aligned and positioned over a region including our country, the reason for the pickup of wet weather activities across the country. Like Entebbe reported 56.9 millimeters of rainfall by 9 a.m. this morning, while Kampala reported 32.6 millimeters. I'm Semper Alex Kim from the Weather Center with the weather forecast only here on UBC TV. Tomorrow morning we shall see most parts of the country have sunny intervals, apart from areas along the Lake Victoria Basin where we do expect some chances of some light showers. Well, into the afternoon, we do expect most parts of the country to have chances of light showers. You might have to carry that umbrella. Temperatures are expected to be quite high at 32 degrees Celsius in Moroto, whereas for the nation's capital Kampala at 29 degrees Celsius, and we are forecasting at 25 degrees Celsius in Kawale Highlands. Elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting for Nairobi, Paris, London, and New York chances of rainfall, whereas for Dubai, we do expect sunny conditions. That is all we had time for. I remain Semper Alex Kim from the Weather Center.
Semper Alex Kim, thank you so much for that weather forecast for tomorrow. And of course, he has prepared you quite early in advance, of course, with expectation or chances of some rainfall tomorrow in Kampala here and other areas of the country. And we've almost come to the end of this bulletin. But before we leave you, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories. In our news tonight, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni commissions 10 factories in Buikwe district. Minister Okello advises politicians to use ballots and not violence as 2021 approaches. UCC to investigate broadcast standards breach in 30 days. And Uganda Airlines secures 7 new routes. It is coming to 11 minutes to 11 p.m. here in the studios of UBC TV. We've come to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for having made UBC TV your channel of choice. Mugalu Muhammad has been on sign language, and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanongama wishing you a blessed night.
Was brought to you by UCC, celebrating 20 years of achievements.